the first, we've done the just a recap for people. We have reviewed the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh, but now we're going to talk about season 2 and 3 of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Wonderful. So welcome back, everyone, to Interviews with Ryan Balkwill, author of Reviews. Ryan and I discussed season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh at the end of our last interview, and Ryan led into plots for season 2 and how season 2 leads into season 3, and season 3 is good.
Going to talk about each one of them separately from my picture idea.
Begin by detailing what Ryan has written for season 2, based on Yu-Gi-Oh card game published by Konami, based on fictional game of Duel Monsters created by manga artist Kazuki Takahashi, directed by Kunihisa Sugishima, and some other Japanese names. If you want to read them in your head, you can read them on Ryan's review. I won't butcher their names here. The plots, plural, Act 1, Battle, Part 1. There is a very long description of what is occurring.
I could give you the short.
So it begins with, Kaibe hears of the 3 legendary god cards. He believes that with the 3 cards in his deck, he will be able to defeat Yugi. So you mentioned that Kaibe never gets over the fact that he was beaten. This is a way he's trying to get revenge.
Yeah, and this is like his character arc throughout all 5 seasons of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, dimensions as well. But that's a film which they like a few years ago.
And is that between seasons 2, 3, or is that at the end?
Well, I would say the rest of it because I don't want to spoil the rest.
That's fine. Just say Ryan has posted the Dark Side movie review as well, but we're not talking about that today. We may come to that later.
So yeah, let me finish the plot and after season 1 left off.
Yeah.
Yuki and his friends are now off the island back into their city, pretty much like Hong Kong, world famous. He beaten Kaiba and he beaten Seto Kaiba. Maximum Pegasus, he's well known in his town now as the Duel Monster champion of the world, but he doesn't get go to his head that much.
This is Yugi.
Yeah, the main character. Yep.
Yeah, glad he doesn't become a bit too smug. That's good.
No. Don't forget, he's still a high school student as well.
Okay.
And also has a double life, as in being a Duel Monster champion.
Yeah, so he is an ordinary kid at school still, but he's also this conqueror of monsters and duelist.
Yeah. And also it doesn't go through to his head too much. Yugi's grandpa, his soul is back by just there to be just his grandpa.
I don't like it when they stick to one kind of plot story forever. You know, this thing with the grandfather's soul being taken, that could have carried on and on and on. But it's really nice that that's resolved, and Yugi can have a fresh mission now.
Yeah, which he does. Pegasus is defeated, and he had up a new threat came into town to try to steal Yugi's Millennium item, which maybe the name is Merrick. Merrick Ishtar. And he's Rare Hunter.
And he's guardian of the Pharaoh's tomb and wielder of the Millennium Rod. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah. Which he usually had the ability to mind control people.
Cool.
Of doing his bidding instead of him doing it.
So it's like Jafar. You know me, I'm liking it to everything. It's like Aladdin where he can brainwash you with the stick.
Yeah. But he doesn't actually do anything basically like Pegasus did last season. He normally just stands on a yacht.
Stroking his cat.
No.
Okay.
So plotting behind the scenes. And he got his minions doing the bidding for him.
Of course.
With his Rare Hunters, which are basically just normal guys in hoodies, but with Merrick's mind control, which if they do stop at nothing to get their hands on the 3 Magician God cards.
So we began by saying Kaibe hears of the legendary god cards and he believes that with the cards he can beat Yugi. So in order to obtain the god cards, Kaibe hosts a tournament to take place in the streets of Domino, with the rule that each person that enters the tournament must ante up a card for the winners of the duels to keep. Meanwhile, Yugi hears of the 3 god cards and how they are tied to an ancient Egyptian legend, one that involves the nameless pharaoh. And this is where we mentioned Merrick Ishtar, guardian of the pharaoh's tomb, wants the pharaoh's power for himself and he seeks to defeat Yugi. You've written here, in the Japanese version, he actually wishes to torture and kill Yugi for revenge and to free his family from serving the nameless pharaoh. So they cut that out for English audiences, did they?
Yeah, probably they just don't want to upset children.
Maybe he gets a bit too manga. Yeah, okay.
And also, these guys were hunters to hunt down, and probably if they be like other duelists in the game, they steal their rarest cards from them and add it to their deck.
So people wouldn't know if they had the god card or not. It's not obvious. Okay.
Which these three also has like some of the most terrifying like monsters ever played in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like Obelisk the Tormentor, which is the blue one. Obelisk Domea, Skyper the Sky Dragon, which is like this red round, like big simulator monster. And you've got the Wind Dragon of War, which is this shiny gold like creature. Pretty much like Godzilla like.
Okay.
But with wings that can fly.
Probably seen that one on the cover art. These are the illustrations for season 2.
Well, the one on the left, and also Yugi goes through like an arc. Well, actually, the Pharaoh does, which is Yugi's other half, like Yugi's different personalities. As in, like, when the lecture boy, which said Yu-Gi-Oh, he actually transformed from an older teenager to a grown adult side. Yeah, pretty much like the Blue Ranger from Turbo, go from kid to adult.
Or Shazam, if you want.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, but the main Pharaoh, which is Yuki's other half, this is like the main selling point, and it continues to go on for the next 4 seasons of the show, which is learning the secrets of his past, which is basically like the ancient Egypt. And he goes to the past, like he has a past in this big shadow game, which is the king of Egypt.
Said that it's kind of set in a Hong Kong type environment.
Sort of, yeah.
Is it the real world? Is it the world that we know, or is it a made-up world?
Well, it's pretty much a made-up world.
Okay, so this thing about pharaohs and ancient Egypt, do they travel specifically to Egypt, or is there just another island somewhere where all this is happening?
Season 2, this is definitely taking place in a town.
Domino.
Yeah, Domino City Finals, yeah. And also in this season, you get returning characters from last season came back for this tournament. Like My Valentine, which normally used to be like an ally to Yugi and his friends. And you got Sumo, the Tsunami duelist, which is basically like a guy who swims in the rivers for a living. Mokufa possessed the Millennium Ring, which also has a second personality. One of the evil bad guys, who is like the king of the Shadow Realm, could play a big role in the show, but not super big until season 5.
It makes me think of Lord of the Rings. It's a really big story. And it's like, I was thinking, if this is a cartoon for kids, what if you miss a few episodes? Are you missing crucial plot? Or does it not matter so much?
Well, if you are the ones like engaged, like I did when I'm a kid, you pretty much will probably lose out a lot.
But you watched this the early 2000s?
Yeah, probably when I was a kid, yeah. I
would watch cartoon as a kid, and it didn't matter that I had watched 54 previous episodes of the same program to understand what was happening. I was wondering if this is a big ask for children, smaller kids, to watch all of this in the right order and keep all this in their head. But maybe it's simpler than I'm making it out to be. Maybe it's easier to do.
What they did was they were trying to get their hands on, well, they don't know who, basically like a cat and mouse game for like Marek and his goons, or just want to get the power of the Millennium item so they can have all the power, and the Rare Hunters wants to get the Edition Gold cards away from Yugi and Seto Kaiba.
Okay, it's the God cards, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like a cat and mouse. Where they're going to get them cat and mouse, I think we got to prevent these Rare Hunters from getting the Millennium item from Yugi's neck. And also the 3 cards.
It couldn't be more Lord of the Rings, Ryan, if you tried now. You've got dragons, you've got a thing around his neck that he's got to keep away from the wraiths, and they're on a quest.
Kuiper, when he's like, this is my favourite, this is Kuiper's arc throughout this show, which is Kuiper refused to believe he's somehow connected to Yugi's heart, which is in ancient Egypt.
After the return of his granddad and the winning of the Duelist Kingdom, we're now into the God Cards Battle Part 1, Season 2.
That was the whole thing during Season 2, and then it's continued on into Season 3.
Season 2 was fabulous, expanding the universe even further, as you've been doing for us. The pros, the main storyline for this was stretched even forward into the next season. I like how Yugi balanced between his 2 personas, and they introduce a lot of new liars into Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise, including Gods, Monsters, Dark Forces, Magic, and Mind Control. It's like there were higher stakes this time for our main characters, and newest characters were introduced in this season. The animation, tone, and art style was quite improved. Marek and his rare hunters were an intimidating threat who gets in their way. During the first round Battle City finals do go to dark, scares you away. The God Monsters are too overpowerful, and you might need to take breaks in the middle of watching this season to digest what's going on. It's good that you say that, Ryan, because I was losing the plot, I will admit.
There are a lot, like in the first half, a lot going on. Like you got these rare hunters on a search to find these 3 God cards from Merrick. You got Yugi and his friend trying to stay out of trouble, but doesn't matter how hard trouble finds them, they can't help but just be a pain in the bum to the baddie.
Yeah. You mentioned that he's back in high school. It was Yugi done. He was finished with the tournament. He got his granddad back. But now Kaibe and Merrick and these other, they're out to get him.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get on with his life. Is that it?
Yes, indeed. And also, another subplot about Joey Wheeler and his sister Swenty.
Okay.
Which features a lot in this season and also Season 3, which is like got enough money to pay for his sister's eye surgery.
It's the character we mentioned in Season 1.
Which actually gives Joey a lot of reason to be actually a sympathetic, character next to Yugi. Definitely where earlier on, when he's about to face like a rare hunter, and he lost his rarest card, the Red-Eyed Black Dragon, to the rare hunters, he's not taking the failure down. He wants to find the person who stole his dragon away.
When they fight, is Yugi ever in peril or danger? Or does his monster fight, and then if he loses, he just has to give up the card?
Well, it does get to the point that mostly they like Overwatch. They like what's wrong, what their tactics do, and also pretty much for Joey's waiting to see like her sister in the hospital. So like that's a big danger for Yugi, which they had no choice but to challenge them. And what you said about not threat to little Yugi, no, most of the time when he fights them, Yugi dropped to his other personality, the Pharaoh.
When you say personality, it's not just that he has a brain. Does he change into a pharaoh or something?
Oh, yeah. Well, not a pharaoh with, like, ancient Egypt clothes. I mean, like you said, like Shazam, grow a bit taller.
Okay, sorry, Ryan. The impression you were giving was that he had multiple personalities and that he himself didn't physically change. This is very complicated to explain, mate, so I don't blame you.
I'm sorry. I just try to explain it the best way I know how. I will say this. I will say my cons for this.
Go on.
Which is some of the doors, after they are like well animated, I feel like some of the other episodes, I feel like they're just there to fill time. Or some of the doorbells feel like they just last forever.
Dragon Ball Z is a great one for this, where they will stand and they will talk for a full 10 minutes, and I will talk back at you, and then we will eventually whooja. They don't just fight, they do lots of staring and lots of talk.
Yeah.
It can get a bit boring. You're like, get on with it already. As X-Men, they just start fighting.
Oh yeah, they like the animation do feel like they're in that style. And if the Werehunters have been defeated one by one, their souls go straight to the Shadow Realm, as in never been seen again.
So we feel bad for them, actually.
Well, feel bad for the people who've been mind controlled, but not the Werehunters entirely.
Okay, they get what they deserve. Okay. If it's 50-something episodes long, they're not all going to be great. There's going to be some filler. You kept watching because you knew it was taking you somewhere. You were happy to see where it was going.
Yeah, and most of season 2 as well. They do get into like really physicality at times. One of their friend Tristan actually almost punched one of the Werehunters one time, basically being like a tough guy. And like actually like find out what's going on here. Why the Werehunters are spying on us? What we do deserve this?
Season 2 and Season 3 expand the characters, so there's more.
Definitely expand the Battle City, the characters and the world itself. Yes.
And the world itself, yeah, they go to different places. So, do you want to talk about Season 3 specifically, or could we move along to Seasons 4 and 5?
Season 3. So, like I said, Season 2 and 3 are like tied into each other because Season 2 was part 1 of the Battle City arc.
That's right, Virtual World and Battle City Part 2.
3 is like the conclusion of it. But first, the Virtual World, well, that's like filler as well, but good filler.
Okay, so that's like holding you whilst you're getting onto the battle.
Yeah.
For number 3, Virtual World, as Yugi, Keibai, Joey, and Yami Marek are traveling to the destination of the Battle City finals, the airship suddenly takes an unexpected turn. The main characters find themselves trapped in a virtual reality simulation in which the former executives of Kaibai Corp plan to take their revenge against Yugi, Joey, and Keibai. They're hot on this virtual reality prison, aren't they?
Yeah.
The executives.
Yeah. Definitely all cooked up from the same guy that's trying to ruin Kaiba's big master plan to advance the company to the next level.
Yeah.
Instead of like just blow him up or leave him to sink and die. Now they take Kaiba and his friends to probably trap them into a virtual reality world where they lose the game, their bodies goes, well actually their souls goes away, and the one who stole their body gets to leave and go back to the real world in one of the other Kaiba and his friends' bodies.
That's a whole nother level. So the virtual reality is not just that your body is lying down like the Matrix and you're plugged in, it's that your consciousness is somewhere and other people can inhabit your body.
Yeah.
So other people are pretending to be Kaibai and Joey and Yugi.
Yeah, which is actually develops more characters like Kaiba, definitely, and his little brother Mokuba, which is like go back in time, like Back to the Future, like journey for them.
Yeah.
To like get to know who was Kaiba before he became this big boss of Kaiba Corp.
So Ryan, we just talked about Virtual World, the plot for Season 3, and then there's Battle City Part 2. When the 4 finalists escape safely from the virtual world, they arrive at Kaibai Corp Island. There they conduct the final rounds of Battle City and stop Yami Marek and his shadow games. Ryan was looking forward to see how they're going to include the rest of Marek's storyline. The season was very good, but bummed down by the first act. Pros, you can feel the stakes online for a final 4 contestants. It was amusing hearing the monsters speak. The animation had improved from the previous seasons, and I like how they included this season's act very well. In the cons, much as I enjoy seeing every character getting a chance in the spotlight, the virtual world act got so complicated to follow and a lot of unnecessary antics, and you wanted to get the battle.
Well, it was getting good at the start. Of like, you start with Yugi up against one of these henchmen, which is known as henchman, which is like a little boy in one-man control of this big virtual reality world, which I won't spoil for him. What's interesting about this one as well is Yugi, right? You basically Pharaoh is not only this is you can duel, but you got your deck master, which is like your pretty much your favorite monster, like playing behind your side, as in like something like your mascot. It's played by your side.
When you say play, you mean playing the card game? I don't follow, Ryan.
Oh, sorry. I think what I'm going to say is, I think people need to watch it to see for themselves.
There you go. This is a lot of wonderful teasing, though, Ryan. I'm interested. I just don't know if I'm following enough to explain it myself to someone else. But basically, it's fantasy. It's kids with monsters. We spoke about this in our previous interview, but this is 5 seasons. This is 5 years worth of animation.
Yeah.
And Ryan rates all of it, I'm guessing.
Yeah. If you beat us, we'll never be shown again. If we beat you, we take your body and we escape from this virtual world in it. Which sadly, one of them gets sacrificed and one of the bad guys got hands on his body, which I won't reveal who. I'll leave it to the audience to see for themselves.
Okay. And again, you called this a throwback review. This is Ryan's phrase for something that's not...
Yeah, it's got this something I watched like in the early 2000s.
That's right. It's either something that you watched originally when it was aired, or it just is old. It's something that's way, past time for review. But for those that have never heard of Yu-Gi-Oh, it's available on...
season 1 and 3 on Netflix. But if you want to watch all 5 seasons of it, it's all available on Prime Video.
Prime Video. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So you can
and also at the other sequel series and spin-offs.
Got you.
Or if you don't have the time to watch it, or pretty much you want to use your money, you could buy it on DVD.
Quite right, quite right. It will have been released. It's out there, and you can probably even get a box set that contains all of it. Ryan, because it's old now, it has concluded. It's finished, hasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. It's a bit like a book, so you can get the whole thing from start to finish now, and enjoy these characters that Ryan has. Presumably, you've enjoyed their company, Ryan. You've enjoyed spending time with them. Yeah.
Which, actually, by the end of season 3. It's like part 1 of the Pharaoh's character arc, which is learning about his past and how it's connected to the magician arc during ancient Egypt.
As Ryan's saying, this whole lockdown experience, if you are a bit worried, get watching this. It's really good.
Yeah, and I'll pretty much talk about season 4 another time.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, I'm going to say to you, next week, I started to do something a little bit different.
Okay.
For a change. And I talked about the old WWE video games.
Wow. I love the first one with the shading in the corners, Ryan. It really looks like...
I think that was Lee as Randy Orton and as The Rock.
Okay.
And there's me as CM Punk, and for the first time ever on my pictures, age, as in my mum.
Right, okay, so Mum gets a feature as a female character, because you haven't drawn a female character until now, probably, so good on you.
Yeah, add diversity.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much again for another great interview. I will speak to you next week. Have a nice weekend.
Have a weekend. Bye.
Bye, Ryan.
Bye.